Hello everybody and welcome to the show. This is where we're going to take a look at new action figures, old action figures, and together, I know that we can make them better. So on today's episode, we have, from the final faction, General Diabol. He is a Kharn alien, and here is his stats and bio. And there is the rest of the Series 2 where you can collect. Now they've already had Series 1. We're on Series 2 now. So if you haven't picked any of these up, boy, let me tell you, you're missing out, because these are amazing. There's the bio of basically what the show is all about. There's the whole plot. And, you heard me right, I did say it's a show. This action figure line, Final Faction, is from Dollar Tree, which means each one of these action figures is $1.25, and each accessory pack is $1.25, and each vehicle is $1.25. That's incredible. And they're able to do all of this and make a TV show and make a comic book. But let's see how they make action figures, because that's what we're really here to talk about. So you can see there Diabol, the general of the Kharn, in the packaging. So why don't we fix that and get him out so we can take a nice look at him. I'll be right back. And he's out of the packaging. General Diabol, standing tall and mean and a little bit like a chicken. But let's take a look at this awesome artwork before we look at the action figure. This is what he was covering up. This is what he's supposed to look like, I guess. This is what he looks like in the show. You can see, obviously, he's got way more intricate color detail and pattern and whatnot than what you see in the show. I know it's kind of hard with this blister bubble in the way, but hey, guess what? I like to open my things a little carefully. Sue me. Please don't sue me, I don't have money. But what I do have is this awesome action figure for us to take a look at. So let's go ahead and look at the sculpt a little bit closer. You can see that the face, it's a little soft. The sculpt is a little soft this time. The Final Faction has an issue with making faces, in my opinion. The face sculpt is usually the weakest part of the entire sculpt. But if you look through the rest of this figure, you can see he almost has like bone plating and spikes coming out and ridges, and there's his fingers. It looks like he's got two fingers almost fused together, and then he's got one big claw right there. Even his hips have spikes or bones, or I don't even know what they're supposed to be. His knees. There's his feet. Yeah, it's awesome. He's got like claws. That's real cool. He's got these bands, and they're painted. That's pretty cool. You can see that they go underneath this shoulder armor, and then over this, or over his elbow. They even go all the way to the back. That's awesome. Now, I've heard a lot of people complain about how, his torso and head are like this bubblegum pink. He looks like chewed bubblegum from the back, and they're not wrong. He pretty much does. And his legs are this nice red. And a lot of people are wondering why didn't they just use the same color for the arms as the head and the face. And I think, maybe I'm wrong on this, but I think it's because his eyes are red. He has red painted eyes. It's very difficult to see, but they're there. And if you made the entire sculpt red, you wouldn't be able to see his eyes. It'd look like you have no eyes. So I think they had to go with a light enough shade of pink in the for his torso and his face, so you could see his eyes. But that's just all speculation. And then he's got these, I guess, more armor. I'm not sure. But let's move to the articulation. Now, this should be the shortest part of the video because this is a 5 POA, which means he only has 5 points of articulation. He's got a nice head swivel. Okay, can go 360 if you spin all around. Does that. I don't know if that does anything for you, but there you go. He can look straight up that way, I guess. His shoulders can rotate 360. They do not bump into his hip bones or spikes at all, so that's cool. And then finally his legs, he can go out. I'd say that's about 90 with his hip, but because his leg shape, it might not look as much, but he can go forward about that much, and backwards he can actually go pretty far. He can almost kick his own back with his, what would you call it? his ankle? What would that be? I don't know alien anatomy, but what I do know is that this is one cool action figure. So, since this is a bigger, heavier figure than the rest of the final factions, he does not come with any accessories. But that's okay, because does he really need one? Yes, he does. And that's why he has these little ports on the side of his arm, is because I imagine, he's got one on his back right there, and then he's got some screw holes. I imagine that they're going to be coming out with an accessory pack specifically for General Diabol, and I cannot wait, if we're being frank with each other. So let's go ahead and move to height comparisons, since he has no accessories. Let's start off with, since he's an alien, we'll have him with another alien from the Star Wars universe. You know, there's a Mandalorian. The G.I. Joe retro line, I believe. There's a Snake Eyes. And you can see they're all supposed to be within the 4-inch, 3.75-inch type of scale. And even so, General Diabol is still, much taller than them. They don't even come up to his... Well, yeah, they both come up to about his shoulder. And his neck and head are above them. So, that's pretty cool. A DC Spin Master. This is one of my favorite villains. Deathstroke. There's another ninja, we'll bring Snake Eyes back in there. And you can see that together they'll beat Diabol. Now, as far as the G.I. Joe and the Deathstroke go, they're about the same height, and they're both smaller than General Diabol. So let's take a look at him with some of his partners in crime. Here is the Kharn Brute. Maybe it's partners in Kharn. Maybe that's what the new saying is. You can see they're almost the same height, except the Kharn's head is stuck to his chest rather than his, where his neck would be. And General Diabol, who's got good posture, he's standing straight up. So he's a little bit taller than the Brute. And a lot of people thought, well, they were just going to reuse, the body and just put a new head on him. But that's not true at all. You can clearly see those are totally different arms. The legs are completely different. More spikes, more evil looking on Diabol. Even his nails, his toenails, his claws, whatever you want to call them. They're more evil looking, more sharp, more like a dinosaur, like a monster. That's cool. Here is a deluxe class Transformer. And you can see that now their heads almost match up. They're from the top of the head to each other, they're just about the same height, but because of his, car kibble, he's a little bit taller. Speaking of a little bit taller, let's go to a Voyager Transformer, the one and the only Optimus Prime. Try to get him to stand up as straight as possible, and you can see he's not even in the frame because Diabol comes up to about his hip, right about there. But we can zoom out just so you can see a more grand effect of it all. Some of his enemies. We have Sergeant Steadfast with his cyborg enhancements. Rampage Ruck. Now these guys are so big they almost don't want to even fit on screen. They take up so much real estate. That's awesome. I've customized these two just a little bit. Haven't done anything to him yet. At least not this copy. But yeah, you can see that even with their accessory packs, Diabol is still taller, excluding the rocket launcher on Ruck. But he's still able to intimidate and scare and tower over his human enemies. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So now this comes to the part of the show where we try to talk about improvements. How can we make this action figure better? Obviously, people have an issue about the coloring in the chest. Maybe if they could find a way to either find a new color of eye, if that's really why they didn't want to do the same color. Maybe they could find a new color of eye that stands out, makes him still look evil and awesome and scary, and just get the chest all red like the rest of the body. Or find a deeper, darker shade rather than pink. Maybe not bubblegum pink is not the way to do it. So that's one little improvement that they could make. And as always, I imagine that this action figure line could be 10 times bigger if they just had a little bit more articulation. I personally would be willing to spend more money on this action figure if it had more articulation. Because right now it's $1.25. That's awesome. This sculpt, this paint, this whatever, that's worth at least $1.25 to me. Now, if you give it a little bit more articulation, I'd be happy to pay $5, $10 even. If he had, you know, his elbows and his arms could come out and he's got knees and whatnot. That would be fantastic. Obviously, they'd have to talk about selling it somewhere other than Dollar Tree if they're going to go up that expensive. But I know that Dollar General has had a couple of deals with them, and they have items in their store that are more expensive. So maybe one day. But for today, if I want more articulation, I guess I'm going to have to do it myself. So this is my version of General Diabol. I try to improve him as best as I could. You can see the way that this one stands. His arms are a little, you know, they're tucked. And actually, this guy, he has a more neutral stance, a better stance. His arms are a little bit more relaxed than my original copies. But if you see here, if he's trying to throw hands, you know, if you want him to box with any of your other action figures, you got to put his hands down like this, down to his side, just to get him pointed in the right direction. Now that doesn't look cool. And if you try to get his arms to look nice, well then now his hands are, he looks like he's like, oh no, what are we gonna do with this, you know? So I decided to give his arms a little bit more option. It can be more relaxed. He can bend it back to where it was normally, you know. And this way, when you want him to throw those hands, he looks just a little bit better doing it, right? And he's still got the same articulation, and he can kick out just a smidge, just to get the legs separated there a little bit so they don't look, you know, too close. But that's what I thought. That's what I tried to do. I tried to improve it that way. Alright, so that brings us to the end of the video. Go ahead and let me know in the comments which version you like more. The original on the right from Final Faction, or the one that I've doctored up just a little bit on the left. Make sure that, you know, you like, you follow, you comment, you subscribe, you do all the things you know that we like you to do. And I've got actually a couple more things that I need from you. Number one, I want you to go out and have yourself a chuckle. And number two, go be nice to somebody. I'll talk to you guys next time. Have a good day.